What's happening, everybody? One quick last video before we put the car away for the winter. I am literally in the next half an hour getting ready to drive up to the shop, put the car away, and won't see it till spring, which is kind of crazy because it's like 70 degrees out and sunny, but you can see all the leaves on the ground. This is my project this weekend, is to get the leaves all cleaned up. But I wanted to go through and do a quick video around a quick buying guide. You know, at this time of year, I've talked to a lot of people. This is the time of year to buy, especially if you live in the Northeast. A lot of people are getting ready to put their cars away for the winter. I do have a garage, but it's not heated. And for me, the key is to how do I keep this car as nice as it was as an Arizona car year round. So now, you know, I'm gonna spend $1,000 today to park the car for 5 months, $200 a month. The person I'm parking it through is awesome, A&H Storage in Holliston. Great dude, parked there last year. I'm doing it again this year. Super easy to work with, so thank you. Appreciate you for making it easy. But when I walk through, I wanted to just give you a couple things to think about on the 79 to 93 Mustangs, so the Foxbodies, right? There's a couple of things if you're thinking about getting one. So the first generation 79, 5-liter motor, 140 horsepower. You can get the option of the Cobra. They made about 11,000 of the Cobras, so pretty cool car. It was that next generation from the Mustang 2s, kind of taking that platform to the next level, more high performance. You can get the Cobra on the hood if you wanted to, which was kind of a nod to the flaming chicken on the Firebirds or the Trans Ams. But then you get into a little bit of a dark period from like 80 to 82 when they went down to a 4.2 liter V8. So it wasn't a 5 liter, it was a 4.2. 120 horsepower, really anemic. It was some of the cafe standard stuff at the time that was just kind of killing these cars. But then you get into like 83 to 86 and you have this really cool amalgamation of all the different Fox bodies. The 4-eyed Fox, you'd have the SVO that came out with the turbo and 5-lug wheels and 4-wheel disc brakes. That turbo SVO from 84 to 86. 84 at 175 horsepower, from 85 to 86 at 205. And again, the 85, 86 had the flush mounted lights like we get to in 87, and this is an 88. So really kind of a cool setup. It would look amazing. Then you go into 86 is where you'd see the main launch of the electronic fuel injection, so EFI system that you have in here, which would bump us up to 225 horsepower. 87 was the last year you would get a ton of the T-top cars. You can still get a T-top car in 88, but it was the first half of the year and they're very rare. So 85, 86, 87 is where you see the majority of the T-top cars, and they're awesome. They're some of my favorites. 88, 89, you didn't see a whole ton of change. The body changed, you had the front end, the more European style, especially on the GT, with the GT ground effects. The turbine wheels instead of the 10-hole or foam dial wheels, which I really like. And then you get into like 90 to 93, you'd have, Ford would kind of recalibrate how they listed their power rating. So it would go from 225 to 205, still the same power. Ford just listed it a little bit differently. So you'd have a little bit of change there. And then you'd get into some of the special edition models. You'd have the 90 7-Up convertible, which was a beautiful emerald green with the white interior, the white top. Awesome car. It was supposed to be a promo car. It never happened. Made about 5,000 of those. Very, very desirable. You would get into the special edition cars. You'd have a red summer edition and a yellow summer edition. Both are pretty unique. The yellow was with a black or white top with a black or white leather interior and chrome pony wheels. The red was with a white leather interior, white top, and white pony wheels. So kind of a couple of cool special editions. And then we know about the 93 Cobras. You have the Cobras and the Cobra R. The Cobra R is like unicorn tears. It's you're never gonna see it, right? It doesn't exist. It's so hard to come by. But they made about 5,000 of the Cobras, and they're pretty readily available. And they were the red, black, and teal. So pretty cool. You did have a couple more special edition cars as you went through. The 84 GT350, which was the 20th anniversary commemorative edition. They made about 5,000 of those cars as well, and they were all white with a red stripe, red interior. You can get a coupe or a convertible, automatic or manual, 2.3 liter turbo or 5.0. So tons of options on there. When you're looking for a 5.0 Mustang, there's a couple things to look at, and I'll walk you through on mine really quick. So obviously the big thing is you want to try to get a rust-free body if you can, something that runs well. And this one here, again, it's an Arizona car. I've shared this one with you guys a few times. For me, there's a couple things on the interior. I don't have the door pockets on mine, thank God, but if you have the door pockets, look to see if they're sagging. You also want to look to see how your headliner is. You want to make sure that's not sagging. You want to make sure you don't have a broken or cracked dash, which is really common on these cars. Those are a couple big things to look for. The other thing too is you want to look for rust around the fender wells. Make sure there's nothing there. We're good here. We don't have any rust on ours, thankfully. You want to also look to see how your rear windows are. These are hard to come by. Mine have delaminated a little bit, but they're still in really good original shape, so I'm not too worried about it. But you can't get the original version of these. You can get them aftermarket and get the Mustang sticker, but it'll be on the outside. This is actually recessed into the window, so it's a little bit tough to come by. The other thing too, it's really hard to come by in these now, is shade that actually covers everything in the hatchback. It's really hard to come by. Again, you can tell this is an Arizona car. No rear defroster. You know, everything else is pretty clean on this car. No real concerns or worries. Under the hood, there's a couple of things to look for. The big one's going to be is how are your strut towers. If the strut towers are rusty, stay away from the car. You just can't really fix them. You can, but the car's never really the same, and it definitely makes a difference on what you're going to see in that car. A couple other things too, you'll see people have replaced the headlight or one-piece headlights. Not really desirable in our community. You try to stay with the original lights if you can. These wheels also are impossible to keep clean. These are in really good shape. I'm lucky. I have a little bit of delamination, but it's not too crazy. So I do dig the setup on this. But again, you know, if you're thinking about getting one, it's a good time. The prices are all over the place. You're looking anywhere from a decent running car for about $5,000 to something like this car right here. This is probably, if you were to buy this car tomorrow, it has 28,000 original miles, documented Arizona car, no accidents, clean Carfax, all the mileage can be documented. This is probably, 6 months ago, it was probably a $30,000 car. Today, it's probably realistically $25,000. All right, guys, let's talk about the other piece of this when you're thinking about buying a Foxbody. It's the driving experience. It's very different. So if you haven't driven one of these Mustangs in a long time, and I hadn't when I got this one again, it was crazy to get back into this car. The big thing you'll notice on these Foxbodies is how small they are compared to everything else. Like, the newer cars are so big, and I had a Challenger RT 2012 that was a really nice driving car. It was big, it was comfortable, but it was a big car, right? It was a cruising car versus this, which was kind of a little sports car. I mean, it's sporty, right? It's not really a sports car, but it's a sporty car. The big thing you'll see is the tiny steering wheel. It's very thin, the fairly small seats, the tiny back seat. I'm always blown away when I bought this that I could get guys. Back when I had this when I was in the military, we had 4 or 5 guys in this car going like a half an hour to go out at night. And I'm like, how the hell did we get all these guys in there that were 200 pounds? It didn't even make any sense. But the big, you know, as you're thinking about the car, not a lot of creature comforts. Like, it's not the most comfortable car. Although I will tell you, it rides pretty nice on the highway, especially if you have it geared like this one does. This is a 273 rear end, so it's a highway geared car. It's good for good mileage. You'll get like 25 miles a gallon. The biggest thing on these cars, if you're thinking about buying one, if someone's changed out the rear end, do not let that scare you away. I think it's actually a huge plus on these cars. A 373 rear end in this car opens it up. I'm probably going to put a 355 in this car next year, along with potentially rebuilding the transmission just to get a little bit more performance out of the car. I want to keep it as original as possible, so I'm going to do a numbers matching transmission rebuild, but I do like the 355 rear end. So if you're looking to buy one and you can find one with a 355 automatic, or even a 373, or if you get a manual with a 4 or 5 speed with a 373 or a 410, this will wake this car up and it becomes a drag strip monster. It is so much faster with that. That being said, you're still going to get destroyed by any modern 5.0. Like, it won't even be close. I mean, the horsepower differential is crazy. But if you go sit in a new one and then you sit in these old ones, it is a huge difference. The other thing that's cool with these cars is just the sound. That sound of that V8 is what makes these cars so great. I mean, it's not a fast car. It's not going to blow anybody away, but it sounds good. It's fun to drive. There's a lot of nostalgia. So from the inside of the car, keep in mind, you know, comfy bucket seats, but not really supportive. They do have bolsters. If you see the seat bolsters and they're tore up, it's pretty tough to replace these now. So if you can find like ones with nice seats like these, where the bolsters are still really good, that's a huge win when you're looking to purchase one. And like I said, in the interior, look for one without a cracked dash. Look for one without a steering wheel that's all, you know, falling apart. Try to find one where everything works. Everything in here works, including the map light. So, you know, that stuff is key too. Not that you can't get the replacement parts, but you want to try to find as much original stuff as you can when you're thinking about buying one for yourself. So go sit in one, drive it. You'll be surprised how small everything is. Like I said, the steering wheel is so tiny compared to modern cars. But that's one of the cool things about it. It's a different vintage feel. And remember, these cars are 35, you know, 30, what are they, 29 to 40 years old now, 42 years old. They're older cars. So keep that in mind when you buy one. You're probably going to have a couple of, you know, issues with it. These automatics weren't great. If you could find one with a manual, get with a manual. It's a better transmission. These automatics weren't the most robust. Even this one with 28,000 miles shifts way harder than it should. And that's why I'm thinking about rebuilding the transmission next year, get a little better performance, have it shift a little better, make me feel a little more confident going on some of these longer car shows and cruise nights. You start to get into it. Figure if you want a nice driving car, figure you're gonna spend somewhere in that $10,000 to $15,000 range for a really good driver that you'd be proud to take to a Cars and Coffee or a car show. No worries. If you want something like this one with a a mint interior, no rips, no cracks, good headliner, everything on this is super clean, you're going to be in that $20,000 to $30,000 range. If you get into a Cobra, low miles, they're anywhere from $50,000 to $75,000. I know it sounds crazy, but go on, bring a trailer, see what they're bringing in. Same thing for a Saline. The other special edition models, so those summertime models, the red and the yellow, don't bring a huge premium over regular. So just to give you an idea too on how the body styles work from a pricing standpoint, it's crazy, right? Because originally the coupe was the least expensive, then the hatchback, then the convertible. They've actually reversed, right? So the convertibles tend to be the least desirable. They tend to go for the least amount of money. Then you get into the three-door hatchbacks, and then the coupes. The coupes are like, people will lose their mind, especially if it's like an SSP, a former police car. People love those cars. In this one right here, what you're gonna find is, again, for me, I like the hatchback style. I think when I think of a 5.0, this is what I think of. This is the car that makes me, remember kind of that 80s setup. When you get into 90 and newer, you'll get to the 140 mile an hour speedometer. You'll get to the airbags. You'll also get a logo on the dash for the Mustang emblem. This has no Mustang emblems anywhere in the car, really, which is pretty crazy. You do have the Mustang GT logo here. You have a Mustang GT logo on the back, Mustang here, Mustang here. You've got like 3 Ford logos, and that's it. This car is very under badge, other than the most iconic, which is obviously the 5.0 badge you can see right here. So when you start to look and you're thinking about buying one, again, I would buy now if you can. If you have a place to store it, get one now. This is when the prices are going to be the best. Come back in spring. Again, who knows what we're going to do? These prices went up like crazy. I'm always honest. I paid like $19,000 for this car 2 years ago. I had it shipped across country. It cost me like $1,200, so it was like 20 grand into it. I put new tires, new brakes. I ceramic coated the car. I did some springs, so I'm probably like $23,000 all into the car. And like I said, I could sell it today, no problem, for 25. And if I get on the right day with the right buyer, I could get 27 or 28, because everything's original. I still have the plug on the intake. I have all the stuff that's supposed to be there is there. I have all the documentation. So this is kind of what you're thinking about. So again, good driver. Here's my recommendations. First of all, you got to decide: do you want a 4-ride Fox, or do you want a 79 to 86, or do you want the more modern Foxbody, the more European style that this came out with the flush front end from 87 to 93. Once you decide that, you got to figure out, are you looking for a 2.3 liter turbo? And if you are, do you want an SVO, which has all those advances we talked about: 4-wheel disc brakes, 5-lug wheels, a ton of really cool features? Or are you just looking for an older 2.3 liter turbo like a 79 Cobra? So figure out kind of what the body you're looking for first. That's the key to this. Just like the Corvettes from this time, they had that change where they just switched a little bit, and it's important to figure out which version you want. I love an 85 or an 86 GT, especially in white with the black hood graphic, the 10-hole wheels, T-tops. I think it's an amazing car. Figure for one of those in really nice condition, you're going to spend between $12,000 and $15,000. For show car condition, you're probably in the $20,000 to $25,000 range. When you get into the ones like this right here, these tend to sell for a little bit more money right now. They have the electronic fuel injection. They're a little more power, a little easier to live with every single day. So figure for a car like this. Like I said, this is an 88, so this is right in the middle of that period. Had the 225 horse, no airbag, 85 mile an hour speedometer. This car with a 5-speed, probably, figure in, again, 12 to 15,000 with an automatic. You're probably 10 to 13 or 14,000 for a nice one. And for a show car like this, you're probably in the neighborhood of, like I said, that $18,000 to $22,000 with the 5-speed, and 15 to 20,000. And then when you start to get the really low miles and documented low miles, you get 25 to 30,000. So that's it, guys. These cars are amazing. If you're thinking about getting one, get one now while you can. They start to continue to go up in price. The problem you have is you have guys like me, and I'm about to turn 50. We're the guys that grew up with these cars. We love them. This is where we're spending our money today versus those 60s muscle cars that have become like unattainable. So these are going up in value like crazy. The Camaros in the same boat. So there's Gen 3 Camaros are going crazy. So if you want like an IROC, find one now. Same thing with a Trans Am or a GTA. Same with the Monty SS. The Hersolds and the Grand Nationals have already become like unattainable. The prices on those are crazy. So it's the time to buy now if you can. If you have the space to put it, buy it in the winter. put it away, enjoy the hell out of the car. Thanks for checking out the channel. This will be the end of the Mustang content until April. I'm sure we'll have a few other things we talk about during the winter, but look for more Jeep content and more secondary content. Thanks for checking out the channel. We appreciate all of you. Hit that like and subscribe button, and we'll talk to you really soon.